Okay, hello choreographers. I wanted to give you at the end of this first module a little bit of a summary and feedback for your work in your first articulation sharing. So, first off, kudos and thank you for your work. I think you all were very brave and you demonstrated a lot of useful creative choice making. So, kudos goes out to all of you for meeting the challenges that I presented for you for this module that was on vocabulary. So, to summarize that module one more time, we were looking at vocabulary, which are the building blocks for the dances that you will make. So I still think we need to do a little bit more work on it, but nevertheless, we were looking at those building blocks. So not making phrases, not making completed dances, but just the building blocks, and each of you, using that idea of trust, observation, choice, commitment, and articulation to identify what your vocabulary is. It's still an ongoing thing. It's fine. I'm still working on it. Choreographers do that for their entire lives. But I'm glad that we are at least bringing our attention to the idea of choreographic vocabulary. So my second note to you is that I recognize that you are all emotional beings with vibrant thinking minds, and that ultimately your responses to assignments are subjective. We talked about the difference between objectivity and subjectivity, and in analyzing movement, we're trying to be objective, but we're humans, and you all are human, and so we're all products of our history and our experiences, so we can't help but be subjective. So this assignments did call for objective analysis, but keep working on it. That's all. It's something that's ongoing. It doesn't turn on and off like a light switch. You just keep working on it. So my next note is that I noted that many of you tried to choreograph actual dances. And so that's fine. That's the instinct. That's what you know. That's what this is, the ultimate goal. But remember, it was for you to analyze your vocabulary. And so keep that in mind when you were adding thematic ideas or props beyond the use of props as architecture. So using it as architecture is different than using it as the thing for what it is. So ask me a question if that doesn't make sense, the difference. But I noted that many of you tried to choreograph a short dance, and that actually wasn't what the assignment is. But that's okay. I still commend you for your work, so please understand that. The fourth thing is, what was great was that all of you found the borders of your comfort zone. Because I know that Kim and William were tough. I wanted them to be tough. That's why I asked them to work with you. But you met the borders of your comfort zone. So you were, well, number one, trying these assignments, being brave and sharing them, and kind of being on the hot seat, and then taking the feedback constructively was great. So here's a thought. Using music as a choreographer. Using music as a choreographer is like using Cliff Notes for an exam. Why do I say that? The music, the composer of the music and the musicians have already done the work of creating an emotional, subjective environment with the work. To then use music and choreograph to it is kind of like skipping over some of the work that the choreographer needs to do, which is to build that type of theme, emotion, vocabulary, stylistic meaning into the choreography itself. So it's like using music as like the Cliff Notes of choreography. All right, just my thought there. Most of you tended to work, this is an important note, most of you tended to work sequentially in your manipulation analysis of the choreography. And I think that is a choreographic trap. What do I mean by that? You made the original phrase, right? And you went from like movement 1 to movement 2 to movement 3 to movement 4. In analyzing it, with that second 30 seconds, which was there for you to break it down in whatever ways you needed. In analyzing it, many of you just simply went from movement 1 to movement 2 to movement 3. So there was no real analysis. It's just like you dropped, it's like putting chocolate over top of something, which can be good sometimes. But you didn't dig into it. You didn't break it down again and analyze the vocabulary. You analyze the choreographic dance. And I hope that makes sense. Again, ask questions. My next point is that sometimes being choreographers gets in the way of being a movement researcher. Being choreographers gets in the way of being movement researchers. And I want you to be movement researchers. Analyze, break things down, spend time with one, like this gesture, that gesture. Spend time with it. What does it mean? The angle of the head, the way the hands are shaped, anything. Analyze it to its finite degree. All right, so now I want to point out some things that I thought were amazing from our guests, Kim Jones and William Isaac. So here are some things that William said. The work can be in something much smaller than you think. I thought that comment was really good, which goes back to what I was just saying. The work can be in something much smaller than you think. The breath is a catalyst. What is your motivation? And that motivation can help dictate methodology. I think that's great. So you don't just dream up a methodology. What is the motivation for it? And your motivation will dictate the methodology. Be careful of using jargon that you don't fully understand. So I thought that was great. Of course, they don't know that we've already explored and talked about kinesthetic response, but that's good for you to know. Understand what that means. Ask me questions. I know what kinesthetic response is, but just because we've noted it and you know it in your head, understand it to a deep degree. And I thought that was really great. So research it. It's like casting a spell, he said. It's like casting a spell. Knowing the root of the terms we use and what we ask of ourselves is important. Do you use your beautiful dancing to cover for lack of analysis in movement? I was like, boom, he said it right there. Do you use your beautiful dancing to cover for lack of analysis of movement? Excellent statement, because you're all beautiful dancers, and we could get away with a lot through beautiful dancing. But again, we're also movement researchers. Remember that. Now, Kim also said some amazing things. She was questioning another term that we used, non-locomotor movement. So again, what do you mean by that? Does non-locomotor mean just standing still? Or not using your legs? Not exactly. She said it could be bending, twisting, turning, collapsing, still going beyond the gestural. I thought, excellent. Continue to investigate non-locomotor movement, those folks that are into it. If you're not into it, try it anyway. Explore movement without hearing music in your head. There we go again, back to the music being a cliff notes. Even having a rhythm in your head in terms of movement can be like a cliff note. So explore movement without hearing movement or even a meter or tempo in your head. Complete a breath cycle. This was something else Kim said. Complete a breath cycle for your movement. And play with moves rather than think of choreography. Again, back to movement research. Play with moves rather than think of, oh, I've got to choreograph an interesting dance. Why? And then exhaust the idea. When she said that, I was like, I love them both, really. I say that often. Exhaust the idea. Don't just do it and think you're done. Go further. So I'm at about 10 minutes. I'm looking forward to the next module. Please take notes on what I've just said here. Listen to it again. Really review the work that you've done. You did excellent work in Module 1, which was looking at vocabulary. Next, we're on to looking at choreographers and their style. We've got some excellent guests coming. Helen Simoneau, Jasmine Hearn. We'll look at some of my work again, and we'll continue to investigate the choreographic process. All right, see you soon. Thank you.